Good evening, everybody, once again. Welcome to the third lecture for the School Leaders Program 2026 for school leaders. Yesterday, we had an awesome time looking at instructional leadership. And of course, we are exposed to a whole lot. And of course, we were again reminded that as school leaders, we have administrative roles, we have instructional roles, which is now the third, which is subtle or which people do not pay attention to. As leaders, we have transformational role. In fact, our core, the core of every school leader is to transform their organization. So today, we are going to be exploring with deep insights and knowledge and experience of our guests. We are going to be exploring school leaders as transformation agents. And of course, that's leadership for transformation. So it is important that we take this session very, very important. And of course, we are able to draw out core information, draw out core action points where we are going to do what we are going to do to transform our organization, because that's our primary goal. There must be a change just because you are there. And to take us into this, we have our facilitator, Dr. Nkechi Fakoya. Dr. Nkechi Fakoya is one of the leaders we hold quite dear. She's not only a leader, she is a transformer. Everywhere she has served, she has transformed the schools. She is passionate about the well-being and development of children, teachers, and leaders. She's an accomplished educator and a dedicated learner with a strong track record in school leadership and administration. She has held key leadership positions in various prestigious institutions, including head of primary at Fatima School, a British school in Egypt. She was an head of school at Norway International School, Port Harcourt, director of studies at Middle Hall, director of studies at Lagos Preparatory and Secondary School. She has delivered various lectures on the development of education in Nigeria, covering early childhood, as primary and secondary education, as well as educational management. Her passion as a lecturer has greatly inspired and motivated students in our college. Equipping them with both theoretical knowledge and practical application skills. As a result, they are able to translate theory into practice, maximizing the learning potential of their own student. Currently, Dr. Nkechi Fakoya serves as the principal of Bloomberg High School, where she continues to train and mentor students, teachers, and leaders, fostering a culture of excellence in education with a clapping ovation. Help me to welcome Dr. Nkechi Fakoya. Can we welcome Dr. Nkechi Fakoya? You are welcome, ma.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. I hope my internet will allow us to enjoy this session today. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share some of my learnings over time with school leaders. I'll attempt to share my slides again. I hope you can hear me and you can see me.
Yes, very clear.
Perfect. So I'm going to share the PDF this time instead of the PowerPoint because the PowerPoint was misbehaving. All right, can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Leadership for school transformation meant. Now, how many of us were able to watch the Dead Horse theory video? Did we find time to watch it? Can't see. Let me pull myself aside. Yeah, okay, I can see myself now. Yes. How many of us were able to watch the movie? Can I have a show of hands? Oh, perfect. So do we need to watch it again or can we just talk about it? So that's why I sent it earlier. So Henrietta Babajide, do we need to watch it again or would you like to share what you learned from just watching that dead horse theory? Had you heard about it before? And what struck you about the dead horse theory?
I guess for the benefit of the others that have not watched it, they can watch it.
Okay.
Let's watch it
All right.
again.
So, all right. I'll play it for a bit. Maybe not all the way to the end because it's a bit long. However, I want us to deleted it. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint instead. Just a second. Okay.
You know that feeling when it seems like your school is putting in a ton of effort, just spinning its wheels but getting absolutely nowhere? Well, today we're diving into a really powerful metaphor that explains exactly why that happens, and, more importantly, what you can do to fix it. It all starts with this, a wonderfully blunt proverb. The wisdom here is just so simple, it's almost funny, right? When something isn't working anymore, the most logical thing to do is to stop doing it. But, as we're about to see, especially in big organizations like schools, the most logical solution is often. You know that feeling when it has no pulse? Basically a name for that instant. Organizations like schools, the most logical solution is often the very hardest one to actually do. And that brings us to what's called the dead horse theory. It's basically a name for that institutional inertia, that stubborn refusal to let go of a strategy that's clearly failing. It's when we pour all our time, all our money, and all our energy into something that, let's be honest, has no pulse. And schools, well, they can be absolute masters at this. To really bring this to life, let's look at the tale of two schools. First up, we'll see what this trap looks like in action. We'll call this our traditional school, a place probably filled with great, dedicated people who are just stuck riding a dead horse, even if they don't quite realize it yet. So you're faced with a problem, and it's not getting better. What do smart, well-intentioned people do? Do they dismount, get off the horse? Well, not usually. Instead, they get very, very busy doing all the wrong things. What's so great about this slide is how perfectly these metaphors capture what happens. We don't solve the actual problem. We just manage it in more and more elaborate ways. We buy a new saddle, maybe some fancy new software for a system that's already broken. We change the rider. We just shuffle staff around. We even benchmark how other schools ride dead horses, which is basically just sharing our failing strategies with each other. It'd be hilarious if it wasn't so common. And here's what this looks like on the ground, in the real world. Think about it, all those countless hours spent on extra lessons that don't actually move the needle on results. Or that discipline system that, if we're being honest, everyone knows doesn't really improve student behavior. Each one of these is a dead horse that the school just keeps propping up year after year. So, how can you tell if you're riding one? Keep an eye out for these signs. That phrase, "we've always done it this way," that's a huge red flag. Another one is when you see staff getting more and more frustrated, yet all the energy in the building is spent defending the broken system instead of actually trying to fix it. Does any of that sound familiar? Okay, so how do you break out of this cycle? It all comes.
So I'm going to stop there and just take some feedback from us. Did anything sound familiar from what you've just heard in this video? To see you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Yeah, was anything familiar from that?
Yes, for me, it is.
So what part was, what parts did you feel, oh yes, this has happened before?
The part of children that are not doing too well academically, maybe in one subject or the other, and the usual way of extra time with them doing a child, because I have situations where a child has always been in that extra time and still nothing seemed to be changing.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that with us. I'm going to move on now to the
You know that feeling when it's
reason why we're here. Why are we here today? We want to explore some school turnaround strategies, want to find out more about how to lead school improvement initiatives. I think every school must keep improving. We're looking at data-based improvement planning and also how we can make all this sustainable, how we can do it in a way that even when we leave that organization, what we have started will not come to an abrupt end. You know, you get to some schools sometimes and they say, oh, yes, we used to do that when Mrs. Fakoya was here. But since she went, we've started doing something else. So that means the system lacked sustainability. And we'll be finding out how to make sure that we are able to create systems that will last even after we've left the organization. So what is the dead horse in your school right now? If you want to share it, you can type it in the chat, you can unmute yourself, or you can just make a note of it in your notebook if it's something that you don't feel you can share on this platform. But I want us to think about that dead horse. Maybe it's something you've noticed. We do this all the time in our school. I don't really see the point. I'm not sure it's working, but we keep doing it. Can everybody, I think with a show of hands, just tell me if there's a dead horse in your school? You don't have to tell me what it is, but have you identified such? Maybe just an emoji, thumbs up or something, or you don't have any dead horses. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. Samsung, I don't know if you can rename yourself so that I can know who I'm speaking to. I know I've been speaking with Henrietta Papachide. She's been vocal. Samsung SM, I don't know your name. I can see another hand. Mr. Zakia, thank you very much. All right, so we all have dead horses that we need to let go of in our schools. And I hope that after this session, we'll have the bravery, the boldness that we need to get rid of those dead horses that are no longer working. So when we talk about school transformation, we're looking at something that is intentional. It's not it doesn't just happen by us wishing, oh, I wish this school was better. I wish we would do this in our school, just like in the other school. It has to be deliberate. We have to be able to identify the things that are not working and how we can actually make them to work or stop trying to make them to work and bring on new things. So school transformation has to be deliberate. It has to be systemic. Where you have a case where a principal leaves a school and suddenly every project that principal started ends as the principal has left, that means that the transformation was not systemic. It wasn't even a real transformation because everything was in the principal's hand. But when we talk about building capacity in the school, then you know that even if I'm not here, this school will maintain the systems that are in place. So it's a sustained process. That's why it's school transformation. It's a sustained process of improving a school's performance, culture. You know what they say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You can have fantastic plans, but if your school culture is one that does not even align with your published values, I call them published values. Everybody's values, we value honesty, we value want to be professional and all that, and then you have so much late coming in the school, you have so many people lying, staff are cheating, so that's the culture. So the culture has to improve, and the outcomes, that is the students. What you see in your students will show that indeed the school is actually improved. The students are doing better academically, they're doing better morally, in terms of their values, they're on the right path. So all this makes up what we talk about school transformation. And school transformation is not like maybe I have what can I compare it to? It's like a caterpillar butterfly situation. The butterfly is not the caterpillar anymore. It's totally different. That's transformation. Putting sticking a pair of wings on a caterpillar does not mean transformation. It's still a caterpillar, but when it's transformed, it's grown, it has changed through different systems and processes that have gone on in its body. It's a totally different looking creature. So it's that school that was a caterpillar and has now become a butterfly. So it's very obvious that transformation has taken place. Please, if you have any questions as I'm speaking, you can raise. I can't see the chats. I can't actually see the chat. I was going to say type in the chat. Okay. All right. I've opened the chat so that I can see if someone types something. Yeah. So let me go on. If you have something to say, you want to stop me, raise up your hand. I can see Zacchaeus Akinwande's hand is still raised. Did you want to say something? Did you want to share? Mr. Zacchaeus Akinwande.
Sorry, I didn't get that question. Sorry.
I saw your hand was still raised and I thought you wanted to say something.
Okay, sorry. So no, it's
okay. I'll just lower your hand then. No worries. So we want to see better character. We want to see them ready for life after they leave our schools. So in a transformed school, just like I've said, you see children who are performing poorly now performing better at the school generally, from low performance to high performance, for poor discipline to strong values, positive behavior, moving from being teacher-centered to more learner-focused. Now, when I talk about this teacher-centered and learner-focused, it doesn't mean that everything should now be done by the learner, because I said we have to be learner-focused. There's still a place for the teacher in the classroom. There's still something the teacher needs to do. There's also a more important place where the children are carried along in the learning. Learning is not done to them. They are a part of the process. Their feedback is used to improve their learning experience and how they learn and the quality of their learning. A transformed school uses data, not assumptions, to drive decisions. Have you ever heard people maybe talking about a particular child? That child is very stubborn. The child doesn't know maths. And then if you really dig deep, you find that stubborn child, maybe it was one-off. One day the child refused to do something was asked to, maybe for a valid reason. Like maybe you ask a child, stand up, and then stand up, remain standing, and the child is ill, has malaria or something, and cannot actually stand up and say that, not feeling well, and the child sits down because they are not actually feeling well. But then that child is labeled immediately, and nobody's getting that data to know that actually that child was not feeling well that day. Or you walk into a school, one student out of 100 students walks past you without greeting you, and you say, they don't greet in that school. So a transformed school works with data. You don't take one event and make it the whole event. Are we still together so far? Please encourage me with a thumbs up so that I know that you're not. And I always tease people during these sessions in the evening that I know that some of us are cooking our soup. Don't worry, your soup will not burn. Just pay attention. Pay attention. All right, so school transformation, it impacts teaching and learning culture, values, and the systems in place. So I can't say this enough. I want us to really get the reason why we must be passionate about transforming our schools, not doing the same old things in a different way, but just changing the way we do things so that we can actually measure our results. So what are the signs that your school needs transformation? When you see declining results, and you can, if you look at the data for your school, maybe if you do WAEC or you do BESE or some standardized external exam, sometimes it's even internal exams, and you might find that in a particular subject, maybe literature, children over the years, performance in literature has been going down. Then you know that something is wrong and you need to start checking properly to find out what is the problem. Is it a school problem? Is it a staff problem? Is it a student problem? And all that. Indiscipline is another reason why your school will need transformation. If you find that your children are just not obedient anymore, they do what they like, there's no accountability, there are no consequences, your school is in need of transformation. Low teacher morale. If teachers are looking miserable, and the sad thing about low teacher morale is those teachers, they don't actually leave, they just stay there being miserable. Their needs are not being met, or they don't even see a way out of the school situation, so they just stay there. So low teacher morale is another red flag. Poor leadership alignment. So you have policies, you have all manners of things, and then the leadership team is not actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, or what the school says they should be doing, or what the very policies that they wrote and they made up and they agreed on, they're not even following them. Leadership is actually breaking rules and not aligned with the vision of the school. Maybe leadership is not even aware or very clear on what the vision is and what the mission statement says and how to even achieve that vision. And then this is the most deadly one. We've always done it like this. This is how we've always done it in the school. This is what we've always done. And it's working. It's fine. There's no problem. Defending a bad system, then you know that your school needs transformation. Now, having said that, transformation must be contextual. Contextual in the sense that we can't go on YouTube and search for a very good school in the UK, or a very good school in the US, or a school in New Zealand, and say, yes, what are they doing there? I'm going to come and do it in my school in Nigeria. It must be contextual. It cannot be copied, because your school is unique. Your school is your school. Your students are your students. So you cannot take one and just fix it on top of the other. Now, quick diagnosis. What is one thing about your school that you are particularly proud of? Something that you do in your school that you think, we do this really well and I'm actually proud of this. This one I'd like you to share with me. So let's try and share when it's time to share, so that we don't waste time, because there's a lot I'd like to go through with us, and I really want to hear your voices so that I'm hearing your pain points and your success stories and all that. So who wants to go first? One thing that you're particularly proud of in your school, something you know you do well in your school. Nobody's proud of their school.
Let's talk.
Okay, I can go.
Yes, thank you.
I would want to say the collaboration among staff. So basically, I'm talking about the school culture right now. I find out that, again, the relationships is all about the relationships, we have established there. And then I find out that there's a lot of collaboration. It doesn't matter what, the teachers, staff generally, but all levels of staff, support each other instructionally or socially, whatever need. We just have a very strong school culture.
Awesome. So I'm happy that you've said that. And I want to ask you something. That's if nobody else wants to share something. I want to ask you, how do you think your school got to this place where someone is actually noticing that your level of collaboration is good? Was it something that just happened by chance? Are there things that you do in your school to foster this culture?
So I think basically for me, the main thing is, building those relationships. I do believe that a lot depends on, the relationships you have with your staff. Um, in my leadership role, I do understand that, I have to be flexible. So I've played, different roles, servant leadership, instructional leadership. You just have to keep flipping, and then whichever one is appropriate for that situation, I try to implement that. But basically, I find out that relationships, when you build those relationships, you have 95% of your school culture, your school climate done. And that makes us collaborate very well with even the parents, the community, and
When, sorry to cut in, when you talk about building those relationships, you're a school leader. Are you the only one that is, do you actually have sessions where you talk about how you relate in your school environment? Do you have sessions, you train staff? Did it just happen like
so we
that?
engage in activities, and that's at the beginning of the school year. We have both formal and informal activities. So I try to start with the informal ones. So at the beginning of the school year, we get to know each other. We have things like Spirit Week. We have different games. Again, like you say, context. So the context of where I am might be a little bit different from Nigeria. So we have Spirit Week, which is kind of like a downtime thing. We celebrate like months, games week. And then in terms of instructional, on the instructional side, we have like departmental meetings, like, divisional meetings, smaller meetings too, where teachers get to know themselves and collaborate.
Fantastic.
At the beginning of the year, we have like an open house where we have kind of like teachers come together, potlucks, families, things, just informal
Fantastic.
and formal. Yeah.
I'm going to stop you there because you've already done part of my session for me. Thank you very much, Chidima. That's awesome. And
Okay.
I'm very happy that you spoke because I'm sure someone has learned something from what you said. And I believe you're all in one cohort. And being in this kind of group is so powerful when you learn from one another. So, Chidima, I'm really, really grateful for what you've shared because you have just shared the intentionality. You talked about Spirit Week, you talked about departmental week meetings, you talked about potluck. I mean, that is an intentionality to make sure that everyone feels welcome and loved in this school environment. And it's such a simple thing that when the leadership is pushing it, you find that it becomes a systemic thing and it really grows the school. So thumbs up for your school for that. I purposely started with one thing you're proud of because my next question would be, something you'd like to change. Well, when we focus on one thing that we're doing particularly well, it's also a motivator for us to try and do other things well. It shows that we have a success model that we've used to be successful in something. So I can see Mrs. Ladibolu playing international games like chess, and our teaching is always practical. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, for sharing that. So that's one thing you're particularly proud of in your school. Does anybody else want to share before I move to the next slide? You can type in the chat. I really want to hear from you. I'm going to be learning from you too. All right, let me move to the next slide. What is one visible challenge holding your school back? I mean, so we've got a school like Miss Chidima's school where, everybody's so nice and friendly. And maybe you're looking at your own school like, no, that can never be our school. That's not our school at all. And, what is one thing that's holding you back? And maybe when you think of your school as not being that welcoming place, you're thinking of the different factors that will not allow it to be a welcoming place. That's what I want you to focus on now. What is one visible challenge holding your school back? Does someone want to share? And if you don't want to share, like I said, please write it down somewhere, because the notes you make, you're going to go back and really reflect on and think about how you can make a change. So, who wants to share one visible challenge holding your school back? It could be an internal thing, it could be external, it could be your systems within the school, it could be government policies, it could be anything. What do you think is one challenge holding your school back? Can see that anchor. This person is trying to fly in the sky, but this anchor is just holding that balloon down. Yes, I can see ineffective disciplinary approaches. Yes, this is a general one for most schools. Culturally, just bring out the cane and let's be done with this. But school says we can't flog anybody. So now we really need to look for ways of making sure that, we're disciplining the children. Our school is a place of order and, so ineffective disciplinary approaches, that's a common one. Thank you for sharing, Adebimpe. One more before we move on.
I'll go.
Okay, thank you.
So again, you did mention something about data. So in my own case, I think well, we all know instructions are different, instructions are driven by data. So those feedbacks too need to be timely. So I'm still, trying to get teachers to give those feedbacks on time, because if it's not timely, it also affects, it's kind of like multi-layered. It affects a lot of things. So timely feedbacks.
Absolutely.
So that's
Thank
what
you
we're
for
still
sharing
struggling.
that. I am with you on that. I think every school has this challenge. I say to teachers, if the parent brings the complaint first, they are the winners. Take this as who comes first. Like, we should be the ones selling the parent or telling the your shareholders, your stakeholders, this is the issue on ground before they have to tell us. So I very much agree with you. Feedback it's a general one. I think not just for your school, it would happen in other schools. So thank you very much for sharing. I'm not sure who was speaking just now.
Chidima.
Who just okay, it was Chidima. Thank you, Chidima, for sharing. So we talked about school turnaround. I said we're going to learn a bit about turnaround strategies and all that. So school turnaround is a bit of a more rapid. It's like, this needs to change now. And you find it's more schools in the US, especially, where you say a school is failing, it's low performing, children are not even coming to school, or there's even violence in the school, and that school needs a rapid turnaround, and things need to change immediately. So that's an intervention that, schools that have just been low performing for such a long time, what are the things that we're going to do to make sure that this school moves from low performing to high performing? In some cases, the schools are shut down. Sometimes they're giving ultimatums, like, if you don't sort this out, the school will be closed. And I'm sure we've watched a lot of movies with those themes where the school is failing, and then this hero principal comes in and turns things around, and you see that drastic measures, removing factors that inhibit school growth. So you have to remove some things. Some people need to go, some staff need to leave so that the school can grow. Some families need to even leave so that the school can grow. So when we're looking at a school turnaround, we're looking at improved student outcomes in a short time. Usually we want to have it done in months, not even in years. So it's really drastic, and some schools will need this turnaround. So if we want to turn a school around quickly, the first person that needs to turn around is the leader, the school leader, the principal, those at the top, leadership team. There must be a vision. They must see where they want the school to go. They must see it first, that this is what we want to see, these are the outcomes that we want in our school. And when the leaders are aligned, when they know exactly what they want to do, they need to share that vision with the team. They need to get people to buy in to that vision. Another strategy to consider when we're looking at turning schools around, there must be a clear academic focus. So we can't have teachers just coming in, not planning what they're going to teach, not even knowing what the entire curriculum says. So I teach maths in primary 3. All I know about maths is primary 3 maths. I should know where they're coming from. I should know where they're going. I should know where the school wants us to go in this subject. I should be able to see year 12 from year 1. So a clear academic focus. This is what we want in the school. We want to have the top grades in external examinations, or we want to make sure that our school is a learning focused school, that our children are not just about taking exams, our children are learning and they're getting quality learning. Then our decisions must be data driven. It's not just guessing. We're not just, it looks like our children are not doing well in maths. Okay, fire the maths teacher, get a new maths teacher. And then you fire like 3 or 4 maths teachers and they're still not doing well in maths. So it must be a data-driven decision, and there must be accountability. And I think this is something we struggle with in our context. We let it slide. I hear things like, I didn't want to get them into trouble. I didn't want them to be to be sanctioned. But some people will never change if they are not in that trouble. They need to get into trouble so that they can change and they don't spoil your business. There's some staff that you just know from afar the potential of this staff. There are always 2 of them. This staff is going to be a staff in the school, and then that staff, that's the one that's going to get all of us in trouble one day. And so that staff, I'm not saying fire everybody, but that you must make sure you hold them accountable. Don't let things slide too often, because one day there'll be a big slide that will sweep everybody off their feet. And the question will be, didn't you know? I'll give you a very good example. There was a teacher once who, a child, I think, cut her hair or something in class, and this is like really young children, and maybe an injury, or I remember what it was with the ear, put her bead in her ear and all that, and everybody was screaming, this teacher must be blah blah blah. And somebody made a comment and said, that's what she's always doing. She's very careless. And I said to the leader, so this teacher is very careless. Have you ever sanctioned her for her carelessness? How many other events? And this was before you even came to the school. She had done something similar. Nothing was done to this teacher. And I called the teacher and I said, is this the first time you're doing this kind of thing? Well, so did anybody call you? Did anybody talk to you about what you did wrong? She said, no. Were you given a warning? No. Did you get a memo, at least something to make you reset? No. So why would that teacher not do it again? They will do it again and again. I tell my leaders, send the email. Even if you're not copying HR, send that email and let that teacher know that we don't accept this as a school. You have to put your foot down. Not every time. Okay, don't do it again. Don't do it again. Don't do it again. They will do it again. They'll do a different one. That, as our Gen Z say, everything will just blur when they do the next one. So we must sanction when we need to sanction. Hold people accountable. This was your ball. You dropped it. This is the consequence. And make sure you follow through. You are not likely to have those issues again. And again, a culture reset is also part of holding people accountable, because some cultures are just everybody gets away with everything. So a culture reset would mean that you start where you weren't holding people accountable, you begin to hold them accountable. The things that you didn't count as important, you now begin to look at them as important. Respect. It's a cultural thing. We're respectful in this school. So even from the way teachers relate, sorry, is driving out. The way teachers relate with one another in front of students will pick that up. This is how we communicate in our school. So culture reset is important. We are not doing things the old way. We are changing completely. Where teachers used to scream at each other in the corridor, now we just have polite conversations. Where a teacher will just walk into another teacher's class and just pick something from the teacher's desk and walk out without asking for it first. We don't do that anymore. We respect our personal space. We respect one another's personal space. So as leaders, our actions are what will drive the turnaround. It's our actions that will drive the transformation in our school. There must be some non-negotiables. Nobody comes late to school on any day. Nobody is late to their class. Nobody is more than 1 minute late. If you're going to be late, it can only be 1 minute. And after that, you get a sanction. Now, I'm not saying that you now turn your school into this toxic environment where everybody is afraid of doing the wrong thing. But you start on that note before you start making concessions. Okay, it's because of this, because you will get those excuses. Excuses are many. They don't finish in schools. So leaders must also be visible. When you sit in your office all day, emails, your head is in your computer, meeting upon meeting, and you don't get time to walk around. Whenever I walk around from class to class, I see something that my HODs did not see or my VPs did not see. And I walk around and I'm like, I noticed this in this class. Tell XYZ to do XYZ. But if I sit in my office and I say to them, come, so how is school? Everything is going fine. Yes, all the students fine. All the students are wonderful. It couldn't be better. So leaders must be visible. Children must see you. Children must know you. Children must know that they must arrange themselves when they see you coming. And then for you to now do even better, one step ahead, children must know that any adult they see coming, they must arrange themselves. They must behave themselves, because all the adults in our school speak with the same voice. I think one major annoyance for teachers is, I'm here trying to make sure I'm doing everything by the rule, and then this other teacher breaks the rules every time. Students see him breaking the rules every time, but nothing ever happens to him. But I'm here being the goody two-shoes. So everybody must speak the same language in your school, and it's the leader that drives that. You must act quickly on poor performance, and you must communicate relentlessly. Don't be tired of giving feedback to teachers. I'm going to pause now. Any comments, any contributions before I go on? Okay. So an example that I'd like us to look at, a little topic that we can just discuss very quickly. A school's WAEC results in maths dropped from 85% A to C grades to 42% A to C grades in 1 year. In 1 year. What are the first 3 actions the school leader should take? So with all we've said now, this is a problem that could happen in a school. So what advice would you give to this school leader? What do you think the school leader should do to rectify this situation? There's no right or wrong answer. So share with us, if you were that school leader, what would you be thinking of doing?
I think my first reaction will be to look at the data, look at where, have a detailed look at the results, what strands or what units, did drop. That will be the first thing I will look at, just getting an idea of where the decline is coming from. Yeah, where the problem is coming from. So that will be my first,
What kind of data would you be looking at? What kind of data would you be looking at?
Again, I'll speak about context. So you look at is math. You look at the different strands. What are the strands that they performed well, and where are the strands that they didn't? The scores of the students. Where did it drop?
So this is an exam that's taken in year 12, right? Final year of secondary school. So what data would you be looking at?
So
when you say
again,
maths,
and I'll speak about I'll speak about the context of where I am. So if I look at it, I'm
Yeah.
going to say, what strand? Is it algebra? Is it number sense? Is it, where actually is the problem coming from? Is it application? Is it in understanding of the question? Is it a word problem? So I'll have all that raw data down. And when I figure
How
out
would
where
you,
it's coming from,
where would you get that
go
data
on.
from? How would you get that data?
Again, context, they will provide me with all that. So when the result to see all that.
Okay, so there's a sheet or there's a
Yes,
platform where
yes,
you can
yes,
go and you can
yes,
see the history
yes,
of
yes.
maths, maybe starting from okay, so let's be hypothetical now. You've discovered that the problem is number sense. Okay, numbers, children don't have good number sense. What's the next thing?
And then I would look at the implementation, the teacher, I'll look again at the teacher implementing. How long have that teacher taught that grade? Like the teacher's experience on that
Okay.
particular. And then I would look at how is that lesson being implemented? Are students given how are they teaching? Do they have the resources? Do they have the manipulatives to help and things like that?
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much, Chidima, for contributing. Thank you. Does anyone else want to share something? So it's very important that you look at data to try and figure out what the issue is so that it's not just it won't happen the next year and the year after that, especially when grades are starting to drop. So moving on quickly, why does data matter? I think I've said it already that we don't want to be guessing and we can actually see what the real problem is. If we notice that our children are doing terribly in a particular subject and we go on research and we find that this subject is always the last period every week. This teacher in this particular class, it's the last lesson, and that last lesson is supposed to be 40 minutes, but it ends up being about 30 minutes. So this teacher never actually finishes what he's supposed to do in 30 minutes. And so that particular class is disadvantaged. Or these children are doing particularly well in this particular subject because they have a first period in the morning and nothing ever interrupts the first period in the morning. So these these children are on point. So you look for the real issues and you go through relevant data to make sure you know what you're doing. And tracking progress is another thing. You can't grow what you cannot measure. You can't, you won't know whether you've achieved what you want to achieve. You can't give that feedback if you didn't even start somewhere and put a mark. This is where they started from. This is where they are now. And that's what data-based improvement is all about. It also facilitates growth. Now, what counts as useful data? I think I wanted this to even come later. Useful data, you've mentioned that, I think that was Chidima that mentioned that teachers would be, you have a sheet where, they put in grades from different subjects for each child. What else is useful data when we're looking at improving our schools? What's the kind of information that we need at our fingertips as leaders? You can type in the chat, you can unmute yourself. Okay, let me start calling names now because some people are just waiting for Chidima and Mrs. Ladibolu and Miss Henrietta to talk. So let me look. Uwakwe Peace. Uwakwe Peace, can you hear me? If you can you unmute and tell us what kind of data would be helpful? Okay. Think she can't hear me. Zacchaeus Akinwande.
Okay, sorry. I'm on the road. That's why
I
a
see.
bit quiet.
Okay.
Yeah,
no problem.
Okay.
Go on.
I hope the noise is not much.
No, go on.
Okay, so I'm looking at the the periods and the attendance. I'm looking at
Okay,
punctuality of both the teachers and the students in class.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm also looking at the methodology, that's the pedagogy of teaching, and
Okay.
how effective the teaching has been done, using their continuous assessment and other measures.
Awesome. Thank you for contributing. Thank you very much. So you mentioned most of the things on this list, the attendance records. You said the pedagogy that will be from your lesson observation notes. I think Chidima already mentioned continuous assessment, how a child performs in different strands, in different subjects. Of course, your behavior and discipline records. And this is a place where most schools miss it. We don't have proper behavior or discipline records. And something I recommend when I do sessions like this is a classroom teacher can have an exercise book, and that exercise book, divide it into two. The first half of the book, you write all the names of the children in your class. The next half, you write their names again. First half is for when they do something good, and the second half is when they do something not good, when they break a rule. So Okay. I've turned off the video now. Is it better? It's still cracking. Wow. Let me try another device.
Okay, I think she is having real issues with her network. The best thing is to leave. Yes, ma'am. I think the best thing is to um leave the platform first and then return back. I think that would be the best thing. So can she hear me? Okay, she's not. Yes, I think she has to. So sorry to have that.